Hello and welcome to this video presentation. We're doing a study, a research of the healing ministry of Jesus while he walked and lived on the earth. And we're talking about the 25 cases where he dealt with individuals to examine his methods, the strategies that he used, and also to see his sovereign power, but also to see the faith of people around him, especially those that received miracles. Now, today we're going to deal with the subject of Peter's mother-in-law. Peter had a wife and he had a mother-in-law. He had a house in the city of Capernaum. He and his brother lived there. We don't know how many other people, but James and John moved in there, and Jesus moved in there at times and stayed there at the house. And this particular healing of this mother-in-law is significant because, number one, it's reported in 3 of the Gospels. In Matthew chapter 8, Mark chapter 1, and in Luke chapter 4. It's one of his early healing miracles that he did. And it's very significant for this reason. Jesus had a very exhausting day. He had been sitting up on the mountaintop all day long, and he gave his Sermon on the Mount. While he's walking down at the end of the day, going home to relax a little bit before a very active evening where people were going to end up bringing all kinds of sick people and diseased people and tormented people to be healed. So he was going to not only work all day long, but all into the evening as well. And there was some tremendous things happening in this particular city. But as he's coming down from the mountain after preaching the Sermon on the Mount, there is a leprous man that meets him and asks and says to him, if you will, you can heal me. And Jesus said, I will. And he healed him. We'll talk about that miracle. Then before he can get to the house, he meets another Roman centurion or a Roman officer who says, please, my servant is at the house at the point of death. And Jesus said, I'll come and heal you. But instead of healing him, the man said, no, I understand authority. You don't have to come. Just say the word only. Jesus was so pleased with that he said, oh, great is your faith. I have not seen such great faith in all of Israel. Jesus was looking for faith. Now he comes into the house, and when he enters into the house, immediately the scripture says that they beseech him that Peter's mother-in-law is lying in bed sick of a fever. And so Jesus came over, looked over her, rebuked the fever, touched her hand, and lifted her up. And it goes on to tell us that while not only was she healed, but she was strengthened to minister and to serve those people that night. Now, here's the benefit of being a servant of God. She was a woman that had faith in God. She believed in Jesus. Their house was open to Jesus. She had heard the ministry of Jesus. She had heard the message that he was the Christ, the Son of the living God, and she welcomed him. She believed in him, but she got sick. And what was the benefit of her serving God and ministering to God in the past? Jesus immediately went over there and applied that healing virtue to her. She was healed, no questions asked, no conversation of whether it was some kind of sin that had caused her sickness or disease. He just sovereignly healed her and did this wonderful miracle, and she rose up to minister and to serve. She didn't sit there and say, well, I better take about 24 hours here after a fever and get real quiet and get alone and get away from people. But this woman was opening her home that night to all these massive people with all kinds of sicknesses and diseases. And she wasn't afraid of catching any of them. You listen to what I'm saying here? God's healing power applies. And if we're going to walk in the light, we're going to have to overcome fear as well. There's too much in the fear mentality. We're all afraid of catching some disease. Some disease is going to spread. We're supposed to stop these plagues and diseases with the power of God. Again, greater is he that is in you than he that's in the world. The woman was healed. She rose up to minister and to serve the Lord and spent the night amongst all these other people, tormented, sick, diseased people. And Jesus ministered to them and healed them all. She was a blessing, and she received a blessing. Faith was there in the hearts of those that requested him, and of course, faith was in her heart as well. God bless you.